welcome to Getting to the Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, and today's guest is a hand-cut stencil artist, pop artist, and muralist. We have my man, Mowgli. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, happy Wednesday. Happy any day you're listening to this. It's nice to be here.
Big homie Mo. So, I gave the 1,000-foot view or 10,000-foot view of what you do, but you can do a much better job at it than me. So describe your work for the fine folks out there. I can say, you do this, you do that, but you'll do a better job at it. So please.
So I'm a hand-cut stencil artist and aerosol pop artist. I specialize in those two things. And more recently, last year, I got into a lot more murals. I like to pay homage to a lot of like vintage comics and great artists. Like it's for my work now, it's mixing up old school comics and romance comics and adding modern day takes on dating, romances, movie quotes, kind of just bringing new life to what I used to grow up with as a kid. So that's what I'm into right now. It kind of fluctuates every other year, but mostly a lot of pop art, a lot of pop, just popular references, comic book characters, cartoon characters, pretty much anything like that I'm a big fan of. And then murals this year, I'm hyped to be doing a lot of murals. But as far as like my work goes, it's elevating as much as I can, the work, like just trying to stay active with spray paint and stencils.
Yeah, I mean, I came across your account on social media, and I was like, all right, this is some cool stuff here. I'm seeing some jackets here. What's up with this denim? And and it was interesting. And then I saw like just a few things, and I saw some of the Simpsons stuff. I saw different pop art stuff that I've seen just in different places or reminiscent of stuff that I've seen in different places. And I was like, all right, gotta get them on an interview. Gotta make this happen. So, at what point in your life did you realize that you had creative talent and like this was something pursuable? This was something that you should really put some time towards?
I mean, I think it was always just part of me, especially like more realized around like the end of high school and the beginning of college. Like I used to be a semi-pro professional gamer. Okay. So I used to travel and do those events, and I was just always into the advertising and marketing and the way Red Bull kind of marketed their events and like that kind of brand and that kind of stuff. So I ended up going to school for engineering like the first 3 or 4 years, and then switching to marketing, which is a completely different story. I used to be a coal miner and a mining engineer, but that's a completely different time. West Virginia, that's a completely different time. But
road, so
yeah, right. But just it was just kind of getting into marketing, like trying to pursue a career in that. So it's staying relevant as far as advertising goes. Like I'm a really big like on-premise marketing kind of guy. So events, seeing how brands market themselves, like traveling marketing, like vans and that kind of thing. I love seeing that. And then when I used to be a marketing and creative director, it was working with a lot of liquor brands and seeing the way they spent their marketing budget and then creating tens of thousands of dollars of campaigns for that kind of thing. So once I'm settling into the like marketing and how to like reach people from like Coca-Cola's perspective or from EA Sports perspective or from like Absolute, it's just catering to that to me. And it took like a long time as like an artist and like as an individual to like figure out what makes me unique. But it was kind of just like staying relevant and being aware, at least aware of what is going on pop culture wise, like technology, like, even with today, it's going so fast. You kind of have to see like all your major brands, everybody that does business right now, they're trying to emulate and trying to act like a person. It's just like every business being a corporate, is a corporation, but there's a person behind it trying to give it some feeling. And that's just kind of like where it kind of all started, is like, you're just more aware of it. You're more aware of what is being sold at CES, what's the new technologies, what's the new advertising. And then, I mean, for me and entering the art thing, it's like you have a voice, you have an opportunity to I mean, you don't see it a lot when you're a kid, but nowadays when you look back at the comic books, you're looking at the comic, and there's so many ads, like there's so many Twinkie ads, like using the Richie Rich and all these comics and all these like comic characters that like you don't realize like I'm just reading a comic book, but I'm also a child and I'm also being advertised for Twinkies and I'm being like the game systems and all that kind of stuff. So it's like you get to use some of that stuff and revert it or change the message like nowadays as like an artist and as like what I'm exploring.
I was typing when you were saying that because it reminded me of this movie that my background was in marketing as well. So as I was a marketing analyst. That was my first job out of college, and yeah, it was interesting doing it for a very big Fortune 100 company. But I thought about this movie like when I left that job in like 2012. It was a movie that came out that was talking about like this advertising. I just wish it was a better movie. It was called Branded.
Yeah, that was they made us read that before our freshman year. They were split. I think that was like part of our like prerequisite. You have to read that before your first class. Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, it's interesting to look at it like that. I mean, it's
me by the way.
It's true. I mean, well, I'm a little. Yeah.
No, it's I think it's interesting. Like you're right, and one of the things that catches me is the parody that's there. That I had an interview with someone who was in the liquor industry the other day, and it was funny because we were talking about like seltzers and all of this stuff, and I was like, yeah, it's parody. It's nothing original. It's like, why can't it just be one of these things that no one is drinking, and just one thing, and everyone else just gets back to scotch and beer and carbs, and let's just do that. I don't know, but it's just this kind of parody thing. You see it, and then the marketing starts to look the same, and then the advertisement starts to look the same, and that's a whole different thing for a different time.
I think it's it's fun though. I think it's fun. I like it being trendy. Like it changes culture. It changes the way people see things. Like even today and with murals and influencers, that kind of thing. Like a lot of the jobs and a lot of companies I speak with, like they're asking for what's the most Instagrammable mural? What's the most Instagrammable? Like, so it's like museums are taking a look at that, and like for as vapid as it is and empty as it is at times, like it is interesting to see it and be a part of it for a few years or a little bit, and then to see and look back and be like, that is ridiculous, like why did we do that? So like I think we're living in those times where like there are certain things that this is not going to sustain for another 5 years, but it's it's just nice to be a part of it. It's nice to be relevant. Like I don't know, I don't think you feel this way, but I don't want to be a part where it's just like, man, I'm too old for this shit. I don't get it. Like I still want to be able to understand like what's in, what's cool. Like I, play a game of Fortnite if I have to, like, that kind of shit. Like,
what is it? Among Us and all of that different stuff. I was like, everyone has their bit. And I thought about doing it, and I was like, hey, where's my TikTok at? And I was like, where's my cane? What am I doing? But I think the microcosm of it when it's at its peak and the veil is at its thinnest is around Super Bowl time, when you see the advertisers and you see like, so you waited 12 months to come up with that, like, that's dated, right? Or is this what's like somebody's like, when you see something that kind of sticks out, it's like, oh, this is the new hotness. This is what's going to be popping for like the next 3 months or something like that. So it's that really weird, interesting point of who's behind in their marketing, who's like behind the curve and who's ahead of the curve.
Oh yeah. And it's big money right now. It's big, it's huge money. And then you see massive, like marketing and like meme, like conglomerates, like the Fuck Jerry company, like that, people and companies like that are just basically just twisting and turning. And it's just like, they make people that are influencers. They make people that can appeal to this kind of way. It's, I don't know. It's always
Illuminati.
It's always, I mean, like people that it just takes like one documentary. Like people are always like, oh, have you seen this? And then they're telling everybody about it. And then you take a second look, you're like, am I that social media voodoo doll? Like, do I take this too seriously? I mean, it's to me, it's like, it's more difficult for you because it's like you're creating content. Like this is it's timeless content because it's like eras. Like it's like this interview is going to be 2021, a snapshot of what this is. You can listen to this and in the future and still have like what's going on now. So it's like you're a historian in the fact that I'm not trying to gas you up too much, but
I mean, I appreciate the gas. I mean, very selfishly, as the people I have on here blow up, and then it's like, I got them first. Oh, I got them early. before the numbers go up. So back to York, because we're being marketing guys a little bit here, and we can't do that. We can't do that.
Yeah, sorry.
So within your art, so what would you want to accomplish? What does it aim to accomplish ultimately? If someone were to ask you that, someone is asking you that, how does that response go?
I mean, like, honestly, the biggest goal is to like make it in that mass way, like to be a household name. Like, to me, I like to see an artist, whether it be me or an artist I interact with or someone I know, make it to that level, like that level of everybody knows your name, everybody kind of knows your name, like people that aren't in that industry, like it can kind of heard of you. So like that's like the ultimate goal. And then for me, like I don't do too lavish or outlandish goals. Like my goals are usually within a year or 6 months. So there's a few things like I want to accomplish as far as that goes for like this year, but I want to push it as far as it can go. Like I'm surprised I've made it this far. And it's interesting because every year I think I'm like, oh, I've made it. Like I'm a full-time artist. I've done this like full-time for like 2 years. And like every year, like the challenges and not the struggles, but the pressure that I put on myself to get to the next level, to get a little better, to like constantly stay creating and stay I like ahead of the curve kind of thing. Like that's something important to me. So that's more of like to achieve greatness, I want to work hard and to like be great. I never want to settle and be like, all right, well, I've done this. Like there's a few points in my career already that I'm like, all right, like that was enough. Like that was enough. That was cool. Like that monetarily or whatever it is. It's just kind of like I chalk it up at the end of the day. I was a successful artist. Like, let's go back to marketing and make some real money or that kind of thing. I don't know. It's just so it's like it changes. Like there's the two big goals that I don't really say goals unless I know that they're achievable. There's two things I'm putting out there. I would love to design a sneaker at some point, just whether it be a colorway or I get big enough to get that collab. And then a vinyl.
Size 13.
Okay. Yeah. 11 and a half. Anybody's looking out there for my, I'm starting to collect. My partner's very mad about that, but, and then a vinyl toy. There's a few sketches and a few designs I have for a vinyl toy. And I'm interested in getting that 3D printed in the next like year and start doing prototypes for that. But it's a long process. It's a long, expensive process. So it's like, I dabble in little projects and like little goals that I think are like big achievements for me as an artist. And it takes like a year, 18 months. And it's like that slow process.
It's almost like different milestones, what have you, in listening to what you're describing. It's kind of a similar thing that I have. And I think about what I do really in an artistic way, which is kind of why I wanted to do this podcast. Cause I think it's interesting to have conversations with people who are actively creating. And I think one of the things that happens is when you get to that level where you feel that you've hit a goal, then you get complacent. And then it's just like, that's what I do now. And it's like, no, you like right now I'm doing three, like as I said before, I'm doing 3 different podcasts and people tell me you're out of your mind. Why are you trying to build 3 different things at the same time? Because they're fun. I don't know. I'm doing it because I enjoy doing it. And when it comes to any of these things, what I want to do is have something that's out there that transcends it, whether it be, okay, there's an action figure. Oh, snap. That's a Funko Pop of me. This is great. He has a Carhartt shirt on. This is amazing. And, those are things that you would feel, what I would feel like, all right, this is great. This is something that kind of matters to me and it meshes with what I'm into. This is satisfying. It's not what someone else's values or what they kind of attach to what a certain achievement or so a certain goal should be.
I think it's like good pressure. Like with you hearing that 12-year anniversary, I've been doing this for 12 years. Like that's there's so much to me, like so much clout and so much like strength to that everything to do outside of that, it doesn't really matter because of how much time and how much like just singular focus you've had on one task. So it's like I'm hitting like I make sure to bring that up, and anytime I've been interviewed or anytime I'm on like a podcast or that kind of thing, it's like I've been in this game for about 10 years now, like 9 or 10 years. I've been cutting holes in paper and spray painting. So it's like, it's not like I started doing this last year or 2 years ago. Or like, when you when you talk to artists and other artists are looking to hear advice and learn from other artists, it's always this hard pressure. So it's like, you know, you've been doing this game for 12 years, and like that's a lot of like strength and power. And it's just like, you know, it's that good pressure that you're getting better every year, that there's like little, otherwise you wouldn't be doing it. Like it's like, it's like that dumb advice from Cocktail, like good things don't end. Like you're doing good things, you're working good creatively. Like I see, like I've awful mantras. Well, good things don't end. So it's like, you know, your podcast good, you've been doing it for 12 years, a reason why you're still in it. Like, and even if it's just something that you just love to do, like that, I wish there was more, you know, like it's just the passion is contagious. So it's nice to hear, like it's been great. It's been very revitalizing to hear these conversations, other creatives, like especially in these times. It's actually, you know, it's more important. It's interesting that like there's more pressure on creatives during. I mean, it's just the beauty of the world, you know.
Yeah, totally. And it's going to be some pop culture questions coming up. I'm going to start skipping some of my questions because you hit it. I was like, you stole that cocktail reference? I was like, what the hell?
I've been looking forward to your movie. I got to listen to the movie podcast. I'm looking forward to that.
I'll make sure you check it out because it's good. The one I just did is really good. I got a few coming down the pike. Might even have you guest on the spot here and there. We'll see. So let's see. You got the artistic style. We already got that actually. So I think that's all set. So now we get to some pop culture stuff. I read of an experience with Super Mario that helped lead you on your path a bit. Super Mario has been a game, a 90s motion picture, and of course an 80s cartoon. What is your favorite Nintendo game? So they were talking about just regular entertainment system. Your favorite 90s motion picture. If you got anything that's comic or cartoon related in that vein, that would be even more challenging, but great. And I just left it as old cartoon.
Oh, cartoon. So you're saying NES only? We doing Nintendo games?
We're just doing straight Nintendo. So like just entertainment system. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Duck Hunt. Like Duck Hunt?
Yeah.
Like Duck Hunt. Because my dad got the bazooka attachment instead of like the gun peripheral. Like we had both. But we used to hide behind the couch. Like, I don't know, like the ducks were going to get you. And like, you know, just you're bopping the ducks. That was a lot of fun. Like that. And then obviously the OG Mario.
Yeah, triple OG.
And then I'm a huge gamer. Like that was a very lofty goal of mine when I first started. Was I did the first level of Mario 1-1. Yeah. Or Super Mario 1-1, and I wanted to do every level of Mario. So any city in the world, I would go, and you give me an alleyway, like I'll do a level of Mario. And like to me, like that would be kind of cool to just do it in every.
That's fire.
That's something I might need to pick up like in a few years, but not. But it was something. It was great to think of. And then 90s movies. Oh my God, 90s. There's so many. Jurassic Park, number one. Okay. Yeah. Jurassic Park, because it's just dinosaurs, just like it was scary as shit. Because I was a kid when not a kid, but I was young when I watched it.
Groundbreaking technology.
Exactly, and who doesn't love dinosaurs? So many good quotes, and then
sexy Jeff Goldblum.
Man, he just that popping it open a little bit. He just rambles on.
Here's the nip. Enjoy.
He says that's the best part. You see, like to me, I got Jeff Goldblum first in Jurassic Park, and then you get him in The Fly, and like horror movies, and you're just like, wait a second, that's the same guy, because you don't see it. Now you get him as like the kid version in Thor Ragnarok and stuff. Vintage Jeff Goldblum, kind of like a sex icon. And then I gotta do more than one movie. So Jurassic Park, Point Break, like you gotta Keanu Reeves.
Early 90s, I appreciate
Keanu Reeves and
Big Daddy
Swayze. So like Point Break, I was gonna say Roadhouse, but that's 88.
Yeah.
And then my last movie would be The Matrix. Matrix is 99. I had to look it up.
Yeah. Very at the very end. Yeah.
Very end, because I remember I saw that in theaters. It was like my 13th birthday. I'm aging myself. It was like my 13th birthday present. It was like still in theaters, and like I just remember watching that. I love that, because it was kind of ahead of its time, as far as like it had that anime movie, that secondary part that I just remember going to Suncoast and like getting that, and then there was lore around that, and then it was before like technology and computers and hacking and like all that kind of stuff was like main culture and mainstream.
Yeah.
So I just remember seeing that and just those action scenes and everything like that. I don't know, a big action guy, like late 80s action, early 90s action, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Okay, you definitely should be on one of the podcasts. We're doing Double Impact.
Okay.
Because it's about brothers. That's a running bit I have with my brother. It's about brothers. He's like, you're the dickhead Van Damme. I was like, what do you got to do? So what about your cartoon? What cartoon you got?
Cartoon. I'm not gonna go with like the mainstream, like Simpsons, and I'm big Simpsons fan, but like
looking over your shoulder right now.
If I'm gonna, yeah, right, there's a ton. But I'm saying like 90s cartoon, that kind of thing. It'd have to be like Gargoyles or Street Sharks. Actually, Sharks, like Street Sharks, like that like with the figures, like a Sharks and like Ninja Turtles, because like I had all the figures, like I had all those like squeezable figures, like one could like spray water and stuff. So it's just like I just remember that kind of stuff. And like you can't really watch it now. It's just terrible. It's just hard to watch.
Hop on Tubi, right? And this is a thing. Hop on Tubi, and I think Double Dragon is on there.
Okay.
It is terrible.
They're all.
And it was funny because like in this world we're in, where again going back to parody, everything that has content, it's like, let me grab every piece of content possible for my streaming platform. And I was like, why are these cartoons left over? And it's like, oh, because they suck. And it was something that happened when one of the Lee brothers, which would for context, my brother and I were almost named after the Double Dragons.
Okay.
That's how wild it is. And so sorry. Literally one of the brothers, I think it was Billy, he pulls out a sword that makes no sense. And he's like, guess it's time to make sushi. And he starts cutting up a tree. And I was like,
this is rough.
Like, I have decades old embarrassment from this.
I mean, some things are best like in that good nostalgic like, it's just good in that don't revisit it. Like I like Gargoyles is probably better than I remember it, but like Street Sharks and that kind of stuff, like I don't see myself being entertained by it. It's nice to like have that thought, but it's hard to get through some episodes sometimes.
Micro Mice from Mars and the Street Sharks are right back to back.
That was a golden age, man. Golden age. You got, and then like Toonami with the Dragon Ball Z and all that kind of stuff like that. That's what, not define me, but it's kind of that exposure into a lot of different culture, a lot of different styles of art, a lot of different things that like I wasn't really exposed to, didn't know about. And then you're in it. And then it's just how deep in the rabbit hole do you want to go?
And you're able to find whatever that tribe is too. Like, there are a lot of anime nerds that they did their initial dive in with like either Akira or like Dragon Ball, and you see someone that's doing a design that's reminiscent of it. It's like, yeah, I'm buying all of that. Like, how can I get that? Or how can I get this piece of art? And that's really, in conjunction with like what I saw with the jackets and such, and the stencil work that you were doing. I was like, all right, this reminds me of something that I've seen. I was like, now, as I said before, I need to get familiar. I need to become initiated, if you will. So I read that your work was enabled you to connect with the likes of like Conor McGregor, Jeff Bridges, and so on. Many luminaries, including Ray Lewis and Cain Velasquez. Describe how those experiences kind of impacted you, and what was maybe a mark out or a fanboy moment you may have had in interacting with some of these folks.
I mean, so the only person I met out of the like list of celebrities that I was able to connect the artwork to was Cain Velasquez. Was able to meet him and shake his hand and like stand next to him. And that was, it's a heavyweight. So it's like, you're just standing next to him. Like I'm 5'11" and he's 6'4", and it's just like a big 6'4". Like you guys probably the same height. And like, he's just a massive man. But I mean, the other celebrities, like it's mostly been homies and friends of friends. Like I used to do a lot more portraits and celebrity portraits and MMA portraits. So someone would be like, hey, I won this meet and greet through the radio station, or hey, like my work is gonna have this celebrity in here. Like, would you mind doing like a portrait, and like I can give it to that celebrity. So like that's how I initially got, Charlie Sheen / right, all those is just like I either had the artwork already or I made the artwork for the person to meet him. The McGregor painting, I've never talked about this, so why not talk about it on the podcast? I got a friend of a friend was working with the UFC at the time. They were filming The Ultimate Fighter, McGregor's season, and I made the McGregor painting. He was just coming up, and we used to watch the fights, and just like I would make a painting of both fighters before the fight. And he was like, "Hey man, I could probably get that painting signed if you want me to try." I'm like, "Sure, why not? Of course, like just you can take it. I don't need to be there. I prefer, honestly, like I prefer that. Like I don't want to meet like most people, I don't want to bother anybody. Like I would love to give you a piece of artwork, but like I don't need you to have a conversation with me, that kind of thing. Like I'm happy to get it to you. You can keep one. I can keep one, like that kind of thing."
Yeah.
So the McGregor painting got signed. There's a picture of him holding it up, picture of him signing it, like just that very lucky early time. And then I just wanted to get the artwork like scanned. So I had it, I went to this art scanner, this art printer, and there's a gallery owner that asked he saw it there and he gave me a ring. He's like, "Hey, I saw you getting that scanned. Is that signature real? Would you like to sell that in the gallery?" And I was like, "Maybe, sure." Like he's like, "Oh, it's, this gallery in Caesars, like in Caesars." I was living in Vegas at the time. So it was in Caesar's Palace. The real Caesar lived there. So it was up in a gallery in Caesars for a few weeks, and it sold for more money than I've ever heard. It sold for $11,000.
Oh, wow.
So it was like that. I didn't really intend on selling the piece. I didn't intend on getting that far. I didn't intend on like selling it for that much, but the gallery asked for that much. It sold for that. And then that person that bought it, I was in touch with him, spoke with him and that kind of thing. And he resold that again months later in San Diego for $25,000.
Wow.
So like, I don't know. As an artist, it's just that is like the peak of my career, and to me, it's like I until I sell another painting for $10,000, like I haven't made it. That was like a fluke. So like that was that's like one of those crazy once in a lifetime chances. Like it's like I have some canvas prints of the image, but it's like you see like his signature then back in what was it 2013, 14, and like now it's like nice, and then it's like sloppy, but it's like little stuff like that. Like I don't think I ever really pursued it. Like I feel like I could have like transitioned and been that like celebrity hopper and just been like, I'm just gonna jump on celebrities and just like I'll paint you for free. Just I need that signature in that picture, and like I could have done that, but like it's been nice, and I've been blessed that my friends and friends of friends have been able to connect me with those people. Like it's not something that's like defined my career, but it's something that's like been very, very, I think fun. I think it's just been one of those, like, it's wild how you can post something on Reddit, or you can have one homie that, you can make it as an artist for like a little bit, or get that like little spike of attention. So it's always neat.
It's a cool milestone to have that. And that's a good story. Thanks for sharing that here. So I got a few more questions, and I might have to throw that old ball buster question back in here. It's a food related one. You don't have it. You may have heard it, but you don't have it. So real quick, creatively in your artistic endeavors, who would be some of your creative influences?
So I'm not classically trained as an artist. I didn't go to art school. So it's been a long road of me learning all the greats and that kind of thing. I feel like I've learned them on like the back end, and like I'm happy to learn them and not know the regular names for a long time. Mm-hmm. But right now, heavily influenced by Liechtenstein. I have a bunch of books from MC Escher, Picasso, a lot of comic book art, illustrators and like teams. So, Ramita Jr. and Ramita. And then just a lot from the 60s and 70s are just comic book illustrators and those kind of Charleston Comics, those kind of like teams of usually split up between like 2 or 3 artists.
Sure.
But a lot of the greats. And then to me, like a lot of inspiring artists aren't artists. It's just like the creators around me that aren't doing artwork, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't have to be a visual artist. Like I'm more inspired by like my DJ homies and like, podcast hosters and photographers and people that aren't doing my stuff. Cause I don't like exclusively follow stencil artists and street artists and like, other contemporary or modern artists, just because there's only so much I can take and want to be influenced by. A lot of the times, like I want to like kind of shield myself off just a little bit to, what certain artists are doing, or what some artists that are like I kind of look up to are doing, just because I don't want to emulate them or don't want to like subconsciously try and take from them. I mean, we do it naturally anyways, you steal every little bits and pieces and make it your own. But I try, just try and stick with the things I like, and until a certain point, and just always shuffle it up,
Yeah, I had a conversation actually yesterday with a jazz saxophonist, and he echoed a very similar thing. He was like, "Yeah, I follow a lot of people, or I'm into a lot of people who aren't necessarily saxophonists, who aren't necessarily jazz musicians, and so on." Or it's always an anecdote that I give from an interview I heard from Currency, and he was just like, whenever I'm in album mode or putting out tracks, he was like, I'm not listening to anything for like this decade. He was like, because I want to do something that's different. If I'm going for this vibe, I want this to feel like this is a 90s, like a New York rapper album. I'm probably listening to some stuff like that, or I'm listening to a whole different genre, because that's the energy I want to bring to it. And it's one of those things where, yeah, like especially in podcasting, right? It's a lot of, there's no new ideas. I always say this, there's no new ideas. It's maybe how you approach it, or maybe I look at it, you'll probably get a kick out of this being a marketing person or former marketing person. It's personal selling. If you don't have a personality or something, that's what they're buying. They don't give a shit about the content. They care about it to a degree. It's like, oh, you're talking about this movie. But if you listen to a movie podcast and then the hosts on it aren't interesting, or they don't have a certain rapport or connection, it's just like, I can just go to a Wikipedia page. I can get this from here without having to listen to like Lispy over there, or, Lord Neckbeard. It's interesting.
Yeah, you're selling that rapport. Like you need that hook, and that's what I'm finding not difficult now, but it's like I used to have those events. I used to have a lot of in-person interactions with like galleries and those social, art events and all that kind of stuff. And nowadays, I can't get that. So it's like, do I have to become more of a content creator? Do I have to film more videos and to speak more about my work and explain more, because people don't get the opportunity to have that conversation, like at a tent, at an art festival, that kind of thing. Like, it's interesting to me how like you always everybody's finding that connection, but right now, like we're forced to do it online. We're forced to have these Zoom meetings instead of like pints together and sitting there, so it's just, there's little things, but you just wish for the best.
You get a different interaction. You're right. Like early on, I didn't have a green screen behind me or anything, and I was like, the camera's for y'all. The shower was for y'all, not for me. And because I like to act like I'm actually there with the person, and you kind of can pick up on the different cues and see what's there more than just here's a black screen and then disembodied like animated figure of myself, and hopefully you like it. So the last questions, I'm going to combine one of these questions, and I'm going to ask you the ball buster. So part one, what's your most important tool as a creator? And part two, what helps you with your creativity?
Probably, I mean, honestly, my muse, my partner, like she's just, she's my rock. So like as far as like creativity goes, it's like I'm able to bounce things off of her. She settles me down. She gasses me up. It's good. Being an artist is very chaotic. Like, so to have a partner help you out on murals and do certain things and just be there creatively to not reaffirm, but to check you sometimes. That's really, it's been really great. I love her to death. And then like the internet, my boo on the internet. But the internet, as far as just I'm able to see what everybody else is doing in my field, other artists, and I think the pace is just so much faster now, just because of how much people are recording. So like creatively, you are exposed to so many people doing either similar things and you would see it and you normally wouldn't, or you can see someone with the same style, like creating something, and the process in which they do it. Like a lot of artists are very secretive about how they make their work and that kind of thing. And like being able to YouTube and search for things and teach them, like either not teach myself like fully, but be able to get like a taste of it and find little things like creatively. That's just great, because you're just able to you're able to bounce around and dabble in things that like I just wouldn't have been able to do. Like that's why, this place like OpenWorks, like that is like such a great tool. I wish like that was like a standard in every city in America, that they had a building like OpenWorks, because you're able to use tools, you're able to try different crafts and things that can all tie into a business or just an overall more well-rounded like entrepreneur. And it's just like, it's like, an artist, it's like being an artist nowadays. Like you're not just an artist, you're a designer, you're an illustrator. Like you have to do digital stuff, you have to market stuff, you have to make stickers, it takes, it's just that network and that like that village kind of thing.
It's a little bit of everything. You gotta be a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
All right. So now it's time. The crab cake question.
We're doing the crab cake question?
Yeah, we're doing the crab cake question. Where's the best crab cake? Who has it?
Can I say Jimmy's Seafood? Can I say that? Am I allowed to? Is that allowed?
That's allowed. They have a good one.
They have a good one, but I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble by saying that. Like I'm not a huge crab. I'm like I'm not crab cake. I'm not a huge crab cake guy. I'm a huge crab guy.
I'm listening.
Let me get the bushels. Let me get the dozens. Let me eat some crabs. Like
I don't break down the crabs. As I've said many a times, I'm a refined individual, and my crab has to be in cake form.
Oh, you're not your hands. Is it because it's sharp? It's sharp, and the shells might cut your fingers a little bit. Yes. So you don't want to. I got you. It's okay because the old bay hurts. The old bay hurts a little bit, and your boo boos. I got you. I got you. Okay, all right.
My knuckles. From pounding away at this podcast genre. I can't get obeyed though. Otherwise, that's a fair thing. Because Jimmy's, they have what is it? They have like something like that's like a stuffed. They have like this stuffed crab cake or stuffed shrimp or something that's really, really fire. And I go really fat there. That's why I don't really get with Jimmy's too often, because I usually get these mashed potatoes and I'll get cream of crab soup, and somehow those two things become one thing.
Hey, that's good. See, that's the other thing. You got me the crab cake question, but I've mostly been vegan. Like I'm not a vegan. I still eat meat. I still like. But 6 out of 7 days I'm vegan with my partner. Okay. So I thought we were gonna go the vegan restaurant route.
What's your favorite Lion's Mane crab cake?
I mean, God, they have so many vegan options now with everything. You can get vegan anything.
What? There was a joke I had about vegans. I was like just looking down at me from your cauliflower tower. And
I get it. The cauliflower tower.
Yeah, I want to put on a shirt. I got to figure that out. My partner, she's a pescatarian, so I definitely just say, all right, I'm not gonna get these ribs today.
I mean, you just gotta dance. You gotta try it out every once in a while. I'm not a forceful one about it. There's just a lot of good food, and it's been fun. And like, I honestly, like, I'm not the most I've ever been. So it's like, it's just been nice to feel healthy, eat healthy, but it's just, it's just food. Food.
I dig it. So in the last moment or what have you, I like to give the guest an opportunity to shamelessly plug anything that they want to plug. So let us know where you're at, social media, all of that stuff.
Okay. Well, the best place to find me is on Instagram at Mowgli Art, MOWGLIART. You can find me on my web store, whoismowgli.com/shop. That's where I have some originals listed, stickers, clothing, patches, that sort of thing. My DMs are open. I might be really slow responding to them, but I will get back to you eventually. And then since we're talking about vegans, shout out to some vegan restaurants, Golden West. I love you guys. And Cloudy Donuts, vegan donuts. You guys are rock. And then my homies, Snake Hill, they hold it down. They got some vegan sausages too. So all that vegan stuff. And then catch me this spring and summer. I'll be cranking out some new murals and new work. I should be having probably 3 or 4 new murals in Baltimore. And if you need a mural, slide in my DMs or send me an email. I would love to do some more outdoor work anywhere around Baltimore, anywhere around Maryland. If you got a wall, just let me get some permission and let's figure out a dope image to put on it.
So that's literally all I had. I want to again thank you for coming on to the podcast. This has been a treat.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm honored, and thank you for doing what you do for Baltimore culture and Maryland. I hope I'm honored to be part of it.
Well, thanks. So for Mowgli, I'm Rob Lee saying that there's art in and around Baltimore. You just have to look for it.